It all began during the premiere of a highly awaited movie in bustling Los Angeles, December 2023. Keanu Reeves, adored worldwide for his kindness and humility, was seated in the front row, enjoying a rare peaceful moment. What he didn't anticipate was that his most memorable interaction of the night wouldn't be with fans or photographers. It would be with a fearless, popcorn-loving toddler. Enter Sophie Bennett, a curious 2-year-old with golden curls and sparkling blue eyes, who had come to the event with her mom, Emily. Emily, an aspiring screenwriter and single mom in her early 30s, had scored 2 tickets through a lucky connection and hoped for an unforgettable evening. Little did she know how unforgettable it would truly be. Sitting just 3 seats away from Keanu, Sophie couldn't resist the buttery aroma wafting from his popcorn bucket. Undeterred by the sea of adults and flashing cameras, she toddled over mid-scene and, without a second thought, reached into his popcorn. For a moment, the room seemed to freeze as everyone watched in suspense. Keanu, however, responded with the warmest, most genuine smile anyone had seen. Far from being annoyed, he leaned down, whispered something that made Sophie giggle, and even offered her the entire bucket. What no one knew was that this innocent act stirred up bittersweet memories for Keanu, reminders of precious moments he'd shared with his younger sister when she was Sophie's age, long before life grew complicated. Emily, mortified, quickly moved to retrieve Sophie, apologizing profusely. But Keanu gently stopped her. "She's fine," he said with his signature calm demeanor, crouching to Sophie's level. "Popcorn tastes better when it's shared." Those simple yet profound words were a testament to the kind of person he was, a man who found beauty in small human connections. What happened next was magical. Sophie's tiny, bold gesture somehow melted the room's tension, prompting laughter, applause, and even snack sharing among Hollywood elites. For Emily, standing so close to this global superstar, her heart raced, not because of his fame, but because of the kindness reflected in his eyes. As the evening unfolded, Keanu and Emily began to talk, not as an actor and a fan, but as 2 people navigating life's unpredictable turns. Meanwhile, Sophie, completely oblivious to the moment's magic, sat comfortably on Keanu's lap, giggling and stuffing popcorn into her mouth. For Keanu, Sophie's laughter evoked memories of his late sister Kim, who had passed away from leukemia. She had been Sophie's age when he'd first taught her the joy of sharing popcorn during movie nights. That bittersweet memory brought a flicker of emotion across his face, a flicker Emily noticed. "Are you okay?" she asked softly. Keanu nodded, offering a faint smile. "She reminds me of someone I miss," he said, his voice tinged with both sadness and warmth. As the premiere wound down, Keanu stayed by Emily and Sophie's side, chatting as though they were old friends. Emily, who had faced life's challenges as a single mom after Sophie's father left before her birth, felt an unexplainable comfort in his presence. Keanu's humility and warmth made her feel seen in a way she hadn't in years. When the event ended, Keanu insisted on escorting them to their car, shielding them from the paparazzi's blinding flashes. Standing under the glow of streetlights, Emily hesitated before speaking. "I don't know if you'll even remember this night in a week or a month," she said, her voice trembling. "But you've made my daughter's night, and mine too." Keanu glanced at Sophie, who had fallen asleep in Emily's arms, clutching a small handful of popcorn. "I'll remember," he replied softly. "Moments like this, they're why I keep going." Tears filled Emily's eyes. "You have no idea what that means to us." Keanu paused, as if carefully choosing his next words. He handed Emily a folded note. "If you ever need someone to talk to, or want to take Sophie to the movies again, give me a call." After he walked away, Emily unfolded the note. It wasn't just a number. It included an address and a heartfelt message. To new beginnings. Let's keep sharing the popcorn. In the days that followed, Emily debated whether to reach out. She didn't want to appear as just another fan trying to invade his life. But one evening, as Sophie clutched her stuffed bunny and asked about the popcorn man, Emily made a decision. She wrote a heartfelt letter, sharing her struggles as a single mom, the dreams she'd put on hold, and the comfort she'd felt during their brief interaction. She didn't expect a reply. 2 weeks later, a small package arrived at her door. Inside was a handwritten note from Keanu. "Life has been hard for both of us, it seems. Maybe we can help each other make it a little easier. How about popcorn on Saturday? Just the three of us." Emily sat down, tears streaming down her face. She wasn't sure if this was the beginning of something extraordinary or just a fleeting act of kindness. But whatever it was, it had already changed her life. For the first time in years, Emily felt like she wasn't walking this road alone. When Saturday arrived, it came much sooner than Emily had expected. That morning, she found herself pacing around her modest apartment, unsure if Keanu would actually show up or if his gesture had been nothing more than a fleeting kindness. She kept telling herself not to expect too much. But precisely at 3 p.m., a gentle knock came at her door. When she opened it, there he was, Keanu, standing with a giant tub of popcorn and a bouquet of daisies. Gone was his signature black jacket. Instead, he wore a simple grey sweater, his smile warm but almost shy. "I wasn't sure if daisies were too much," he said, holding them out with a touch of awkwardness. Emily laughed, her nerves vanishing in an instant. "They're perfect. Come in." From the living room, Sophie looked up from her coloring book and squealed with delight. "Popcorn man," she exclaimed before darting across the room and wrapping her little arms around Keanu's legs. He crouched to her level, handing her the tub of popcorn. "For you, little lady," he said, playfully ruffling her curls. What followed was a wonderfully ordinary afternoon. They watched Sophie's favorite animated movie, pausing often as Sophie insisted on pointing out her favorite scenes. Keanu didn't seem to mind in the slightest. He even appeared genuinely interested, asking her questions and chuckling at her enthusiastic explanations. To Emily, the scene felt almost surreal. Here was one of the most famous men in the world, sitting cross-legged on her worn rug, sharing popcorn with her daughter as though they'd known each other forever. Yet, amidst the gratitude, a small doubt began to creep in. Why would someone like him take an interest in their lives? Later, as Sophie drifted off on the couch, Emily finally voiced the question that had been weighing on her. "Why us? Why are you here?" Keanu's smile faded, and he leaned back, his gaze fixed on the ceiling. He was silent for a long moment before speaking. "Because I know what it's like," he said softly, his voice cracking just enough to betray his emotions. "To feel like the world's moved on without you. To feel alone." Emily's heart ached at the vulnerability in his words. He went on, sharing pieces of his past, losing his best friend, River Phoenix, so young, the unimaginable grief of losing his daughter Ava and her mother, Jennifer Syme. "I've spent years trying to make sense of all the loss," he admitted. "And sometimes, someone like Sophie comes along and reminds me that life doesn't have to be perfect to still be beautiful." Tears slid down Emily's cheeks as she whispered, "I'm so sorry." But Keanu shook his head. "Don't be. Meeting you too. It's like finding a little piece of that beauty again." His words lingered in the room, heavy with emotion. Emily wanted to say something, to thank him for his honesty, but she couldn't find the right words. Instead, she reached out, taking his hand in hers, a silent gesture of reassurance that he hadn't even realized he needed. In the months that followed, Keanu became a steady part of their lives. He would stop by with groceries, help Sophie with her art projects, and even encourage Emily to pick up her screenwriting again. Slowly but surely, he became more than just a friend. As their bond deepened, so did Emily's fears. Could this truly last? Was Keanu too good to be true? Or would life's inevitable challenges pull them apart? In the back of her mind, she wrestled with a question she wasn't sure she was ready to face. Was she prepared to open her heart again? As time passed, their connection, born out of a chance encounter, blossomed into something Emily could never have imagined. Keanu brought a warmth into her and Sophie's lives that had been missing for years. Yet, the nagging thought remained. Could something this good be real? One crisp autumn evening, Keanu invited Emily and Sophie to a quiet picnic in Griffith Park. The setting sun painted the city in golden hues as Sophie ran ahead, chasing butterflies, her laughter echoing through the air. Their small, growing circle of loved ones. Emily and Keanu began to build a life together, one step at a time. Their engagement wasn't splashed across tabloids or followed by cameras. It was celebrated quietly, in the warmth of their shared moments. Keanu, who had spent much of his life in the limelight, found solace in the simplicity of their world. He helped Sophie practice her ABCs and joined her tea parties, donning a plastic tiara without hesitation. Emily, inspired by the encouragement and stability Keanu brought into her life, revisited her screenwriting dreams. For the first time in years, her laptop became a tool of creativity rather than just a reminder of unfulfilled aspirations. One evening, as they sat together on the couch, Sophie asleep between them, her head resting on Keanu's arm, Emily looked at him and said, "Do you think life is finally giving us a break?" Keanu chuckled softly, brushing a stray curl from Sophie's forehead. "Maybe it's not about life giving us breaks," he said, his voice thoughtful. "Maybe it's about finding the people who make the hard parts worth it." Emily leaned her head against his shoulder, a smile playing on her lips. "You always know what to say." "I've had practice," he replied with a wink, his warmth radiating through the quiet room. As their wedding day approached, the small family found joy in planning a celebration that truly reflected their journey. It wouldn't be a star-studded Hollywood affair, but an intimate gathering at the park where Keanu had first proposed. Sophie, of course, insisted on being the flower girl, complete with her favorite pink tutu. On the day of the wedding, the air was filled with love and laughter. Under the same sprawling oak tree where Keanu had proposed, they exchanged vows that spoke of healing, hope, and new beginnings. Sophie stood between them, holding both their hands, her giggles a perfect accompaniment to their heartfelt promises. As they walked back down the makeshift aisle as a family, Keanu paused, lifting Sophie into his arms. He looked at Emily with a smile that held years of unspoken emotion. "We did it," he whispered, his voice filled with awe. Emily nodded, her eyes shining. "We really did." Their story wasn't one of perfection, but of resilience and love that refused to fade in the face of life's challenges. Together, they found not just a new beginning, but a reminder that sometimes the most beautiful things come from the most unexpected places. For everyone who knew them, Keanu, once known for his quiet solitude, seemed to radiate a newfound joy. He introduced Emily to his world, bringing her to film sets and connecting her with people who could help reignite her screenwriting career. In return, Emily became his anchor, helping him open up in ways he never had before. They shared late-night conversations about his fears, dreams, and memories, with Emily offering a judgment-free space for him to grieve and grow. On their wedding day, a small, intimate ceremony held at a picturesque vineyard in Napa Valley, emotions ran high. Sophie, adorned with a delicate flower crown, proudly took on the role of ring-bearer. She walked down the aisle with a tiny basket of petals, her beaming smile lighting up the moment. When Keanu and Emily exchanged their vows, the words were more than promises. They were acknowledgments of the struggles and heartaches that had shaped their journey and the love that had brought them through it. Keanu began with a playful promise. "I vow to share every piece of popcorn with you," earning a ripple of laughter from the guests. Then, his tone softened, his voice filled with sincerity. And I vow never to take a single moment for granted, because you and Sophie are my everything." Emily's vows were equally heartfelt. "I never imagined finding someone who could love me for who I am, flaws and all. But you walked into our lives and showed me that love isn't about perfection. It's about showing up, even when it's hard. I promise to spend the rest of my life showing up for you." As they sealed their vows with a kiss, the crowd burst into applause, but for Emily and Keanu, the world seemed to blur. In that moment, all that mattered was the life they were about to build together, a life grounded in love, resilience, and the belief that even the most fractured hearts could find healing and a sense of home. When Sophie tugged at Keanu's hand and asked for more popcorn, their laughter echoed under the vineyard's golden light. It was a small reminder that this was just the beginning, a beautifully imperfect, extraordinary journey they would walk together, hand in hand.